In the darkest corners of history, there exist figures who have mastered the art of death. Silent, precise, and unstoppable, these are the assassins who shape the world with a single, calculated act. But what drives a person to take a life in the name of a cause? And what makes these killers the greatest of all time? Today, we step into the shadowy world of the G.O.A.T. assassins, where every kill leaves a mark that echoes through history. Our story begins in 1914 on a sunny June day in Sarajevo. Gavrilo Princip, a young nationalist with a burning desire to free his people from Austro-Hungarian rule, takes a deep breath as he steps into history. His target, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne. With a single bullet, Princip sets in motion a chain of events that will engulf the world in war, a war that would claim millions of lives and reshape the global landscape forever. Gavrilo Princip was no trained assassin. He was a young man driven by ideology, by a belief that his actions could change the course of history. And in a way, he succeeded. But what about those who followed, the assassins who would take up the mantle of change with cold, calculated precision? John Wilkes Booth, a famous actor turned assassin, believed he was a savior of the South. On April 14, 1865, Booth would take his place in history, firing the shot that killed President Abraham Lincoln at Ford's Theatre. His cry of "Sic semper tyrannis," thus always to tyrants, would echo through the ages, but Booth himself would not live to see the South rise again. Instead, he became a fugitive, hunted and hated, his legacy forever tied to one of the darkest moments in American history. But what was it that truly drove these men? Were they simply tools of a larger cause, or was there something deeper, something darker, lurking within their souls? And how do we define the greatest of all time? Is it the impact of their actions, the precision of their methods, or something else entirely? Some assassins are never seen, their names whispered only in the deepest shadows of power. They are the ghosts who slip in and out of history, leaving behind only the cold chill of death. Take, for instance, Carlos the Jackal, once the world's most wanted man. A master of disguise, he orchestrated attacks across Europe in the name of political causes, his true identity known to only a select few. For years, Carlos the Jackal was a ghost, evading authorities, orchestrating bombings, hijackings, and assassinations with impunity. His name became synonymous with terror, yet his motives were as murky as the man himself. Was he a true believer in the causes he fought for, or was he simply addicted to the thrill of the hunt? It was just business. You know, sometimes you have to make an example out of someone. Richard Kuklinski, known as the Iceman, was a contract killer who claimed to have killed over 100 people. But his story is not just about the numbers. It's about the cold, calculated precision with which he took lives, freezing bodies to obscure time of death, experimenting with cyanide, and ensuring that his victims simply disappeared. To Kuklinski, killing was an art form, one perfected over decades of bloodshed. But what drives a man to kill with such detached precision? Is it purely a job, or is there something deeper, a darkness that consumes them from within? And how do these killers reconcile their actions with the rest of their lives? The answers may surprise you, but the truth is often more terrifying than the act itself. In the world of assassins, even the greatest must one day face their reckoning. But what happens when the hunter becomes the hunted? When the line between killer and prey blurs? Mikhail Popkov, a former Russian police officer, led a double life as one of Russia's most prolific serial killers. For nearly 2 decades, Popkov evaded capture, using his position of authority to cover his tracks and strike fear into the hearts of his victims. Popkov's story is one of deception, manipulation, and cold-blooded murder. He claimed to be ridding the world of immoral women, yet his own morality was twisted beyond recognition. It took years of painstaking investigation, advances in DNA technology, and sheer determination to bring him to justice. But by the time he was caught, over 80 lives had been lost, and the full extent of his brutality was only beginning to be understood. And then there's James Earl Ray, the man who assassinated Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Ray's act was more than just a killing. It was a strike against the heart of the civil rights movement, a desperate attempt to silence a voice that was changing the world. But Ray's story didn't end with the pull of a trigger. What followed was one of the largest manhunts in history, as authorities chased Ray across continents through false identities and into the depths of conspiracy theories. But was Ray truly acting alone? Or was there a darker force guiding his hand? And what about the other assassins who have slipped through history's grasp, their identities and motives forever obscured? In the pursuit of the greatest, we must also ask, what makes an assassin truly great? Is it their impact, their skill, or their ability to evade justice for so long? The G.O.A.T. Assassins are more than just killers. They are a reflection of the darkest parts of human nature. They've shaped our world in ways we can scarcely comprehend, their actions sending ripples through time. But for every assassin whose name we know, there are countless others who remain hidden in the shadows, their deeds lost to history. So the next time you read about an assassination in the headlines, ask yourself, what drives a person to take a life for a cause? And who might be out there, waiting in the darkness, planning their next move? If you found this exploration into the minds of history's deadliest assassins as chilling as we did, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. This is just the beginning. In our next video, we'll dive even deeper into the world of the unknown, the untold, and the unforgivable. We'll unravel the mysteries behind the greatest unsolved assassinations and the shadowy figures who may still walk among us. You won't want to miss what's coming next.